Good old Amana. Goodman, Daikin, whatever you want to call it these days. But anyway, this is a second floor system. They have 3 of them. And I think an evaporator coil was recently replaced here. And wasn't working the way it was before the coil. The coil was replaced because it had a leak in it, and for whatever reason it doesn't seem to be cooling as well afterwards. Not the way it was before anyway. So we're gonna check everything out. We don't have a bad capacitor now. I do have the breaker. That's just what I do. Typically I'll turn the power off to the outdoor unit while I'm getting my stuff together, get it turned on in the house. Just in case I have a bad fan mode or something overheating, burning up or something. I don't want to be running the pressures up on it, so I typically will wait until I'm in front of it and hooked up to it to get it turned on. But I don't see anything burnt in here. Capacitor is good. That defrost board's a little singy up in there. I don't know if that would cause a problem. And your Y circuit is a closed circuit on this thing. It only opens and defrosts, so it should work okay, unless that's cutting the fan off or doing some silly stuff like that while it's running. But we'll get some gauges hooked up to it and we'll turn it on and see what our pressures are doing. I do have airflow inside. Filters are pretty decent. This is a nicer house. They seem to look after things a little bit, so hopefully that'll work in our favor when it comes to the filters and the evaporator coil being halfway clean. But we'll get hooked up to it. So our standing pressures are 233. So I left my watch at home. Okay. So the temperature outside right now is, according to the weather app where I'm at, about 80 to 79 degrees. So let's pull up a quick PT chart. Fortune, a PT chart. So find one, let me pull it up. There we go. Fortune A. So 80 degrees. 80 degrees, 235. We're at 233, so that's going to be fine. Doesn't tell me whether or not it's undercharged or overcharged, but at least lets me know there's something in there. So I'm going to get the breaker turned back on and we're going to see what it does. Loud when she starts. Guys, I've had this thing running for about 10 minutes now. A Good Mana unit, Goodman Amana, whatever you want to call it, Good Mana. Let those run about 10 minutes. I'm not sure what metering device I have yet. I haven't been up in the attic, but it's giving me an 84 suction, about a 293, 295 going between the two. It's giving me a 56 superheat, but I've got a 12 subcooling. So subcooling isn't bad. I'm gonna go up there. I want to check to see if there are any leaks around the liquid or the braze lines where that coil was put in. I know the metering device, I don't know if this has a piston or a TXV in it. Good chance, because it's a Good Mana, it's got a piston in it. It may be the incorrect piston, possibly, or the Maybe the sensing bulb's loose or something like that. Something going on with the metering device, possibly. Coil was recently replaced, so I know they usually will put a piston in it, or there'll be a coil that comes with it, comes with pistons. Did we put the old one back in or what? I don't know. So when the coil was replaced, so let me go up in the attic and take a look at that. Alright, so we are up in the attic. Plenty of room up here. So we do have a piston here. I don't put oil around these. Braze joints. I'm going to check the split on it. I didn't bring my thermometer up here, but according to this, that's let's say 83 on there, 93 maybe. Trying to make it out. This is 93. Goodness, that's a big one. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to pump it down outside and take that out. I want to see what's in there. So we're back out here, and now I'm running about a 90 and a 301, 13 degree subcooling and a 51 degree superheat. So I'm going to pump this thing down. We're going to go see what piston's in that unit. Alright, so got the digital gauges hooked up. I'm going to pump this down real quick. One thing I do like about Train is they put that 90 degree shut off on the suction line. So you don't have to sit there and pump it and pump it and pump it. That's a long valve. Trying to pump that thing down. It may try to trip the pressure switch as the pressures go down on it. So I'm going to hold the contactor in while I'm closing that. And it would really be a lot nicer if I could, if there was a condensate pump right there. It's kind of funky. But anyway, that might be coming from, I think they got a basement unit. Why it's coming out over here, I don't know. But yeah, I like Train in their 90 degree shut off. Looks a whole lot better. What size is this unit anyway? We got a 3.5 ton. Start dropping. I'm going to hold this contactor in. This thing may start making some racket. Got a disconnect right beside of me. I'll get it shut off a lot faster. Alright, she's coming down. She's out on the low pressure switch. So let's go see what kind of metering device, what size piston's in that thing. Alright guys, so we are going to get this piston out of here and see what size it is compared to what it says right there. Got a 3.5 ton outdoor unit. We got a 3.5 ton air handler up here. And once I got up here the second time, I found this laying on top of the unit with an old O-ring right there, and this bag says 59 on it. Seems a little small to me for a 3.5 ton unit. So let's crack this thing open and see if our suspicions are correct. A little bit of pressure. Still not that much. Got most of it down. So anyway, let's see what we find. If I can get this thing out of here. Sometimes you can just bump on this thing and they'll fall out unless the O-ring still. Yeah, the O-ring was still in there. Which I've got more of those on the truck. There we go. There we go. So let's see what size O-ring we have. Or size piston. And that stuff is so small. Let me take a picture of it and see if that helps. And at least I can zoom in on it. Maybe. And bring my reading glasses with me. And yep, it says 59 on it. So that must have come out of this bag. So let me go see what I've got on the truck. I'm gonna give them a call. I want to find out what pistons would have come with this coil, and maybe double check. Maybe they got the wrong information or something. I'm not sure. All right, guys. So, according to our folks, this coil, Johnstone, this coil came with an 82 and a 93 in it. We've got 93 on that. I do not have a 93. I've got an 82. So, I'm going to put that in there and see what it does, because we've got to get something going on the air conditioning in this house to get it an upstairs unit. It's 84 degrees upstairs, so we've got to do something to try to get this thing cooling. So I'm going to put this 82, as you can see. We've got an 82 right there. The lights cause me not to read that, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to put an 82 in it. I'm going to go pull a vacuum on it, open those lines up, and see what happens with that refrigerant charge on this thing. Put the new O-ring in there. And you don't want to over tighten these. You want them snug, but you don't want to over tighten them. By the time you start to stop, and then give it a little extra turn, should be just fine. So we've got that done, and I mean, I'll keep the 59. Maybe I'll need one at some point in time, but let's see what it does when we get this thing running. I'm gonna go get the vacuum pulled on it. Alright guys, got the vacuum pump running, pulling the vacuum down. I do have a one hose set up, but I'm just pulling the line set in the coil. I'm not doing the whole outdoor unit. So I'm just going to use my manifolds. That is, I do clean my sensor, alcohol, make sure all my stuff's reading is accurate. I do maintenance on it, take care of it. I also always put these caps back on, because if you've ever pulled a vacuum and you wonder why it's not pulling down, if these king valve caps are off, and your service caps here, just lay your thumb over the top of them and make a kind of a light seal around it. And I've been able to feel in situations where it starts sucking my thumb down in there a little bit, you can feel the vacuum against it. That means the things are leaking. So when you pull a vacuum, make sure these caps are on and they're on there tight. Obviously make sure all your hose fittings and everything are tight. One hose vacuum is, minimizes leakage, but I'm not, it's just a line set and the air handler up there. So it's coming down pretty good. All right, we got our vacuum pulled and I was able to get it down to like 610 microns. I probably pulled for 30-35 minutes, but that should be just fine on this old thing. It is what it is. But we're gonna get this opened up. Obviously always open up your liquid line first. This is what I do. I just try to always liquid line first when you're weighing in a charge on a system. Lay it in on your liquid line. I open up the outdoor unit. I open up the liquid line. I just kind of stay in a habit so I don't have any confusion. Here we are with this long ass valve. Like I said, Train's got that suction valve that's got that 90-degree shut off. It's just a ball valve and you shut that thing off. I don't know why it's not more popular across the board. Never had a problem with one failing or leaking or being a problem. You've always got something in your damn way. Come on. Could use a right angle tool on my impact driver, and I've got the little short impact rated Allen keys, and probably put that in there. And I just don't want to damage that thing, so I do it by hand, and more often than I do that. So we've got that in there. Let's go turn the breaker on and see what it does. Alright, so I just turned the breaker back on. I can already, let me get my glove out. Get my glove off. I can already feel more heat being pulled out of the top of this unit. A while ago it was a cooler air. Didn't have any warmth to it. As you can see, we're going to let it run about 10 minutes. Like I said, let it stabilize. It's 84 degrees up there, but a while ago we were running a 90 and about a 302 with a 56 superheat and a 12 subcool. Now we're running a 146 and a 312 with a 27 superheat and approaching a 9 subcool, but I did just turn it on. So we're going to let this thing run about 10 more minutes and double check this charge. Still climbing a little bit, but right now we're about to be 16-degree temperature split, or difference between indoor, or not indoor, but outdoor temperature and what I've got coming out of condenser. So we got a 16 degree rise on our condenser. About 80 degrees outside. It's about 9:15 in the morning. So let's go see what our temperature split is upstairs, then we'll come back and check the pressures. Alright, so we're looking at about an 83, 84 degree return. And see what we get on our supply. Was 14 degrees with the other piston that was in there. Now we are approaching a 20 degree split on this, maybe 21. Much better. So I know there's fans of TXVs and then there's fans of pistons. So a 20 degree split, but roughly, I mean, TXVs can make a system that's not set up completely right, at least metered at refrigerant, somewhat close to normal, maintaining a superheat on it. I just like a piston because they don't break. The bulb doesn't lose charge, doesn't come loose, doesn't lock up or get stuck. And if it does get a little restricted, just take it out and clean it. One less part to fail, and one that can be easily fixed if it does get a little plugged, but doesn't happen a lot. Anyway, guys, let's go back out and check those pressures. Alright guys, we're back outside after checking our temperature split. We're running a 148 and a 315 at a 16, 17 superheat and about an 8 degree subcooling with a piston. I'm perfectly fine with that. I think we're going to be okay, not an issue. Suction pressure is high because it's 85 degrees upstairs. It's hot up there, there's a lot of air up there. So it's going to have to cycle through this system, get the humidity out, get the heat out, but it's starting to get normal. So anyway, we're all set on this one, and appreciate you watching.